Good morning all and welcome to my first ever speed build. I wasn't happy with the house that the archaeo-sims had in our Let's Play, so for today's episode we're rebuilding the house in a speedy fashion. My town's actually really coming along quite nicely now. I started off with a Tetris block. It's the best way I can describe it. But I was inspired by Plumbella because I watched her do like a 70s build recently, which had a lot of funny angles and like the slanted roofs and stuff, and I wanted to kind of emulate that a little bit. Hence why I would put this big, massive honking roof in. At first I wanted the roof to look like a normal roof from the front, but like the angles were slightly off at the back, so it'd be like an illusion. But it didn't work, so I just thought I'll do the classic one on top of the other roof style. And round the back I wanted to, for once, leave the back garden sort of open. I thought about wrapping it the whole way around and fencing it all off, but I notoriously close off my back gardens, even though lots in The Sims 4 can be accessed from any angle, and you've got this lovely bit of water out the back and the wee side path. I thought, I'm going to leave it open for once. Don't look at that absolute monstrosity on the front decking, right, with the fence and the pole and that. Just don't look at it. It goes away. Don't know what I was thinking there. For the living room and kitchen, I wanted it to be very open plan. I'm just putting in some placeholders just now. These are not the final doors or bits of furniture and all that, right? Calm down. But I want it to be open plan. I don't build open plan very regularly because I don't like it. I like each room being cosy and shut off. Not a fan of open plan in real life either, to be honest. And in Scotland, for the majority of old builds, or builds that are not brand spanking new, built within the last like 10 years or so, other than that, everything's closed plan. Is that the right word? Closed plan? And here I am just sectioning off the rooms. We've got 2 kids' bedrooms at the far end, mum's room in the middle, and a wee office for the mum as well, for our Lara Croft. So she can still do her archaeology work. And the bathroom, in The Sims, all you need for a bathroom is 9 squares, 3x3. I think that's the perfect practical size for any bathroom in any Sims game ever. But I was trying really hard to make it quirky. So I thought I'll chuck in a wee diagonal wall and make it a bit bigger. This bit was giving me a bit jip because I couldn't decide if I wanted to keep the sort of corridor open plan or not. But I chucked in this glass door because I love to force it into my builds, even though it doesn't fit the style. I love it. And then I forgot I had to do windows. And I went for these base game panels. I wanted to kind of I wanted floor to window. I wanted floor to ceiling windows here, but obviously with it's all being so low at the ground and not having an upstairs, I thought that's maybe a bit much. So these with the bars through the middle made a nice sort of change from just a sheer bit glass floor to ceiling. And also this window has different styles. It comes in different sizes. You've got the 2, the 4 and the 1. So I was able to kind of differentiate quite nicely and it worked out quite well. Also tried to make a corner window because I love a corner window in Lara's office, but it wasn't vibing with me. And glass fences because I love glass fences. There you go. Simple as that. Here I'm blocking out like what I want to be. I was going for the classic simmer, 1 section brick, 1 section stone, 1 section wood, 1 section stone, and I wasn't planning on using these particular bricks or panels of wood, but then I zoomed in and thought that brick's actually really nice. But I thought I'd go for a darker wood panel. These are my favourite wood panels from Island Paradise, whatever it's called. But I always make my outer builds quite light, so I thought I'll go for the darker wood and maybe a darker swatch on the windows. And then I found they all had the same matching red, except for the back door, which has the same red, but then the white skirting, whereas everything else has the red accent and the grey skirting. Typical Sims 4, what are you going to do there? It's just expected at this point. And look at this. Bam. I learned how to flip floor tiles, baby. It's took me, 18 years? Something like that to learn how to flip round floor tiles, but we get there in the end, don't we? Just because I wanted the front and the back to be sort of like an actual decking and red accents on the roof to really bring that red through the entire house. And I go with the corrugated metal sheet roof just because it was red. We're just going for the red thing today, alright? I don't really know why, but I really doubled down on it. When it comes to furnishing the inside, when I moved the archaeo-sims out of the original house into this empty lot next door to build, I decided to keep all their stuff because I was mainly worried about losing all of the artefacts if I just moved them over. I would rather have started with a clean slate, but I didn't want to lose all of those artifacts. So this next bit's kind of higgledy-piggledy because I don't just like a normal simmer go, we'll do this room, then we'll move on to that room. I'm kind of back and forth unpacking the family inventory as we go. Sorry about that. That's my own mistake, and also my own concentration just absolutely fleeing and doing this bit of that room, do a wee bit in that room, wee bit in that room, and jumping back and forth. But for the most part, other than like the mum's room, I keep the majority of the stuff from the old house, also because I was starting to lack creatively, which can be seen perfectly in this yellow bathroom. The bathroom I completely redid, and I just made it all the matching City Living bright yellow swatches. I love the City Living bathroom stuff because it comes with so many colours, and I thought, why not bright yellow? I never used the bright yellow. Let's add a pop of colour at this house. So it's just the same plain old matching set because I was starting to get very creatively drained and tired, complete with a little cactus in the toilet. So be careful when you're wiping your bum because you might get yourself stuck on a cactus. But this kind of marks the beginning of the end for my creative powers for this session. This took me 2 sessions to make. And then as I was lighting it, I found this light called the Chimera. It's a Teen Wolf reference, so I had to put the Chimera lights in. I've never used these once. I didn't realise they were called the Chimera lights, but I had to have them. Do they match at all? No, they're pretty kind of boring. But anything that's a Teen Wolf reference, I have to have in my life. You know what I'm like. And for the floor, because the rest of the furniture is so bright, I thought, let's just go something nice and plain. So we went with the kind of brown, beigey pool floor tiles. And then for the walls, some nice classic white tiles that's in every UK kitchen from about 2016 onwards. But they do the job. They look nice, and I like the texture that's been added to them in the game. And then I forgot to do the flooring for the kids' rooms. I went for the laminate in the boys' room because I have that in this room. You can see it. It symbolises childhood to me, to be honest, because it's been in this room since we moved into this house. And I thought it's just perfect for him. It's the right sort of warm shade. And his room's, it fits nice. Wee Megan's bedroom gave me a bit of jip because I loved that flower pattern wall, but also it was a bit of an eyesore having it on every single wall. So I did the pink sort of extra wall, 2 walls pink, 2 walls wallpapered, but the wallpapered ones have skirtings on, and the painted walls don't. Ignore that, it's a tiny little detail. But there was no paint that had a matching skirting that was white. It had like different skirtings. It just didn't look right having 2 different sort of skirtings. So I thought, just have none. And of course I had to go through every single bit of the inventory until I found the My Sims and put them back on the shelves because they are my favourite thing about The Sims 4 ever, and I will not rest until I collect them all. I love them. Kitchen I skipped kind of over because it's the exact same as the last kitchen, except I recoloured everything from that minty green to beige and grey because I'd done myself in with the colour with the bathroom and then the boys' room and then Megan's room. So bright, I thought I'm kind of bored with the colours, and because it's open plan, let's just make it all beige because I'm creatively at my limit. Why is there a sink in the middle of the... When did I do that? Please tell me I get rid of that. But yeah, I tried to keep it more neutral because the rest of the house ends up being so bright, and because it's open plan, so I thought if I do too much colour it's going to be well too much. But I'm keeping my round table. Keeping the round table, absolutely never getting rid of that. It took me so long to work it into the build, there was no way I was getting rid of it. Even though they have a breakfast bar, they don't need a big round table. But they got it. In the living room I went kind of with, it was again a matching set kind of the... Yeah, that's the Jungle Adventure living room stuff. And I like the kind of white beiginess, but the wee pillows that are on the chair and the couch, they just add wee pops of colour and like lived in look, you know, just little accents of personality, if you will. And that was kind of the basic for the living room. I ended up getting rid of a bunch of chairs because they're a family of 3, they don't need 6 chairs around this round table. So we went for the wee trifecta. Is that the word? Absolutely not. That's not the right word at all. 3 chairs and 3 bar stools. That's all you need. 3 is the magic number and all that. And just to spruce it up, I put a wee candle in the middle of the table just to make it look nice. I have a funny feeling putting the candle smack bang in the middle will make all 3 of those chairs and the table unusable. Like they'll sit on the chair but they won't put the plate down in front of them. It's one of my gripes with The Sims 4 that continually happens again and again. And then I was about to move on to the office until I put the museum case in and realised it was absolutely massive. So I saved and quit for the day. And that was the end of day 1 when I was just absolutely creatively knackered. So this is us back on day 2 where I decided that I felt decent enough to just actually finish the decoration and that. So doing the kitchen, I thought I wanted to keep it kind of plain. The floor I struggled with because I couldn't figure out how to make diagonal tiles. I've just figured out how to flip the tiles, never mind make them diagonal, so I had to do it the old fashioned way where you put in a wall and then knock it down afterwards. You'll see what I mean in a minute. And then I went for this classic brick. I love that brick. I think it's it's just a nice brick. And then the rest of the room I went with a nice kind of warmy, orangey, pastel, peachy sort of colour. And yeah, I brought the brick right round past the bathroom because I thought I didn't know where the cut off for the floor was going to be. And that, yeah, here we go. Just bung a wall in and that gives you your diagonal tiles. You don't need to muck about with extra buttons on the keyboard. Why would you ever want to do that? And then I just started chucking in wee accents like some cakes and salt and pepper shakers and all that. Tried to come back to the office and figure out what to do with that big case. But I just chucked it outside because I was about to have a flaky. And then I realised that I had not done Lara's room yet. The mum had no bedroom. So I tried to do her bedroom and keep a lot of the Jungle Adventure stuff that we previously had in it. But I wasn't vibing with the colours. So I decided to scrap nearly the entire thing. I think other than like the mirror. I think the mirror's the only thing I kept. Because I wanted her room to be a nice cool tone, kind of bluey, grey-ish colour. So that was me trying desperately to make all the swatches match, and then I decided, no, nothing's matching. I love this city living wardrobe dresser thing, but nothing ever matches with it, so I thought I'll take the brown and the white one. It's kind of a greyish brown. It matches enough. I can deal with it. Also, these stacked up suitcases, a bedside table, I adore this. It's so Lara as well because obviously they've just moved house, it makes sense, and because she's an archaeologist, so she's living out suitcases as part of her job, going back and forth between, I was going to say Portaventura. What's it called? What's it called? You know the place I mean. The Jungle Adventure world. It's completely left me just now. Portaventura, we'll call it now. I kept the rug too. The mirror and the rug are the two things that I kept from the original Jungle Adventure house. And the big freezer bunny. The Aztec freezer bunny, which I adore. It's iconic. I love it. I love it bits. And yeah, I just, again, unpacking the inventory and getting rid of a bunch of stuff. Then I moved on to the office, which is just everything unpacked, really. Didn't really put much creative effort into this room. I just thought, shot it all out, get it all back in there. I kind of wanted to make it more of a family room this time though, because if you remember from previous episodes, the family were all spending a lot of time in this room. So we've got the archaeology table where Lara can work. We've got the computer where one kid can play some games. And then I also put the kids' little crafts table in the office as well. Because I like the idea of like they're all hanging out in there together, doing their own little bits and bobs, playing about, doing some work, whatever. So it's a bit of a family room. Also, I forgot to do Lara's walls and carpet. And I was playing about with some really, really bright wallpapers. And then I thought, no, plain white. Plain white will do. Don't push it too far. My creative limits are not very far, so don't push it. And yeah, I kept like the rustic lights in that because I like to think that a lot of this reminds Lara of Indiana and their work together. So I didn't want to get rid of too much of it. So yeah, trying to keep the majority of the same stuff because he worked in there too in the old house. Or did he? He didn't do much. He really didn't do much. And it's still a shame. But also, he was useless. Not to speak ill of the dead, but he was useless. If in doubt, I start unpacking stuff to try and get inspiration. Kept the big pots and, of course, our little sentrymen. But I put them at the back door instead. And we couldn't not have Indiana's martini glass that he went and bought at the flea market, obviously. And when I was unpacking the actual archaeological things, this is when I had an idea. So I was unpacking and I thought, let's build an underground, dare I say it, private collection. I'm sorry, it's a private collection. I'm building a museum later though, I promise. But just because I barely had room in the old house, which was massive, to put all of their stuff. So I thought, let's build a wee like shed with stairs going down into a basement, which is exactly what I did when I played The Sims 3 World Adventures. I got it at the same time as Sims 3 Ambitions. So I was in the Ambitions, if you're familiar with your Sims 3, I was in the town for Ambitions in a tiny wee shotgun house. My sim was an archaeologist, so she had all this stuff but nowhere to put it. So I built like a 5-level basement and just chucked all of her artifacts in the basement. Then I realised I'd blocked off Megan's window, and I thought that's really a shame of her just have a look at a brick wall. So I did some revamping to the outside. She's got a nice big window now. It's fine. It's a bit more cosy as well. It's a museum, but it's not a museum. It's more of just like a storage basement for the archaeological artifacts. Chucked in another chimera light, another couple, because hello, it's my new favourite light in this game, even though it's not very nice to look at. And I even used the little simmer lights, the teeny tiny little lights that all the simmers use for their builds that were specifically put in for simmers to build with. Never used them before properly. And I just chucked everything in there. I tried to use different shelves as well to kind of give it more of a museum-y look, and it's not just, the same beige case over and over again. So I get some of the wee plinths in and just try and muck about, because I never use any of these sort of storage devices. I'll use like basic shelves, but there's a lot of different sort of shelves and storage things in The Sims 4 for like, I guess if you make a shop or something, you can, there's a lot of creative freedom that can be had, or like bookshelves and that. And I thought I'm just going to go with a couple different styles of shelving, and we'll see how we end up. And it turned out alright. It all kind of matches in sort of colour tones and that, and also put a wee bench in the middle so that they can just go down and sit and look at things, because if I had a private collection in my basement, I would absolutely just go and sit and look at stuff. And then I started on my terrain paint. Oh my god, I'm so bad at landscaping and terrain painting. I usually don't do it. I get really embarrassed. But I love these. Is it City Living? No. Nightlight. Whatever pack has these stones in the ground. I thought those fit the vibe. And this is my abysmal attempt at trying to be a proper landscaper, at putting in trees and bushes and stones and all that. I'm not very good. And I'm also too lazy at typing bb.move objects to actually properly place them, in amongst each other and have no, like, restrictions on the grid. Couldn't be bothered. Too lazy. So I just started putting in some bushes and a lovely little grass wall. I went mental with the grass, just because I think it looks nice and wild and unkempt and covers up that bit of the decking that's just kind of boring to look at. Otherwise, the sides just look empty. And I love this. Is it a cypress tree? Cypress bush? I don't know. But the taller bushes, I've been really enjoying putting them in my builds recently. So I've got my little collection here, and I put a little stone in, and I recolour it so that it matches the roof, because it's a red house. Gotta have red stones, why not? And I think I chucked one little flower in. Yeah, there it goes. Just to kind of spruce up the front garden a wee bit. There's not too much room around the sides of the house, so there's not much point in putting too much out there, but I wanted a wee bit, right? The front decking was a bit of a empty liminal space because I put the stairs right along the front, so I couldn't really do too much with it, but I thought, well, chuck in a wee bench and a wee wind chime. Remember wind chimes? They're actually in the game. I completely forgot that I had them. I bought the pack and I don't use it. And then I decided to make a backyard beach. No. Again, started to flag, so I got all the matching backyard pack stuff and just shot it out because I was like, it's vaguely reddy peachy coloured. It matches enough. And I put in a barbecue. I don't usually do barbecues because I have fell out with them from The Sims 3 onwards, because my Sims would cook on barbecues and then carry the food into the house to eat it. They wouldn't sit in the designated barbecue area I built for them, or they'd make food in the house and then carry it out to the table where the barbecue was. They wouldn't like sit in the right place, and it really annoyed me. But we have a bird feeder and we have a bar, and I made a wee sunbathing nook for Lara, even though it's in the most shaded corner of the entire decking. And I scoured the entire clutter section for the wee bottle of Factor 50 and some books because she's an intellectual. And then I remembered that I had that camping pack that I don't think anyone has used since it came out. And I've never used the bigger items of clutter because I've never went camping. I think I went camping once using that expansion pack. But I got some pots and pans and thought I'd put them next to the wee barbecue just to make it look a bit more lived in. Testing it with the lights, I thought I'll add in some more chimeras, and this is our finished house. Now, this walkthrough, I figured out how to do first person walkthroughs, but not first person in the normal simmer way. In first person, but you're not just a floating camera able to go where you want around the house, you are actually in the eyes of your sim. So this is us as Nathan Drake. He's taken us through the house, he's showing, like a typical wee boy, he's showing off his bedroom first, because his bedroom's the coolest. Loving the orange bits. I didn't realise in this view though, the things that you put higher to the ceiling actually get cut off. But Megan's room I'm actually quite chuffed with. I forgot to give her like a rug. I'm okay with the emptiness in the entire house. I really like Lara's room too actually, even though it's quite bland. This freaked me out. Looking in the mirror, I was like, oh, I don't like that. But I'm okay with the blandness in the majority of the house because as we go through the Let's Play, I'll get more stuff and the house will fill out a bit. I didn't want a packet filled with stuff and then go, I've got nowhere to put my new artefacts in that. And then again to the living room, the beige. We love the beige. I actually don't mind it. It looks alright. And then as I say, as I go through the Let's Play, we can add bits. We'll get more artefacts and more things to sort of decorate it with and work our way through. This also made me nearly incredibly motion sick. I could really feel it in my head. Kitchen's a kitchen. What else is there to say about that? Nearly forgot to show you the bathroom. The bright yellow bathroom. I actually quite like it. But again, I used a matching set, so it's going to look nice. Then I got curious to see what it'd be like to use the toilet in first person, and I was very underwhelmed. And then I was like, whoa, motion sickness. So I departed. Little Nathan Drake took us out to the back garden to show us the half moon and the museum, obviously. I forgot to put a banister on stairs. That's a health and safety hazard. It looks quite clean. It looks quite nice for the time being. He's too short to actually see any of the artefacts in, I was going to say in the case, but it's fine, he'll grow. And that is the end of our little tour of the house. Hopefully I won't get bored of this house within 5 minutes and start to hate it like the last one, but I am actually a lot more chuffed with this one. It kind of ties in with the narrative, you know. Indiana has left us, so the family has left their big mansion, they've downsized, they've got rid of a lot of their stuff, but they've kept bits that remind them of their dad. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you prefer that new house, and if you don't, I don't care, because it was actually very stressful, and considering it was a speed build, it took ages. It took absolutely ages. Next time we'll be back with some actual gameplay. Now the house is sorted, we can dive right back in. We'll send Lara back to La Isla Bonita. I've forgotten the name of that town altogether, and I cannot remember it for the life of me. Isla Nublado. That's terrible. I shouldn't need to Google this. Selva Dorada. I was way off. I was never going to guess that. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, feel free to like the video, and don't forget to subscribe as well. And I shall see you next Tuesday. Bye now.